Obviously, the first thing we need to talk about is Bitcoin. If you guys remember, or if you were able to watch the live stream I did last week before Bitcoin actually break the support, is when I drew this five-wave structure where I thought that Bitcoin was actually in the process of at least making a double top, and that I was not bearish. And I made a key comment there to say that even if we saw Bitcoin lose the key 72,000 level, I couldn't be bearish unless this actually broke below 59,000. And there's a few reasons for that, because major retracements from rallies, so here's your rally, here's your retracement, tend to play at ABC patterns like this. And this is like a perfect ABC. And we could further quantify how clean this retracement is if we did something like a fib extension tool. And the ABC pattern should equal 1. As you can see, this is almost perfect, almost too perfect for how that equals 1. So until we actually break 60,000, to me this looks like Bitcoin is actually just creating a buy the dip moment. And another thing to be mindful of is that our weekly TTM is actually still holding up pretty nicely here. If we go to our monthly, we see that our monthly is bearish, but I think it's really important to note that our monthly tends to not get much more bearish than this. Maybe you got one more red month from Bitcoin, maybe. But I'm actually not expecting the amount of weakness we saw here to occur here. If we look at the 2-day and the 1-day, obviously there needs to be some resolution here from these patterns. But again, considering that the weekly is bullish, this actually looks like it's trying to find a turning point on the daily. And that could also relate to a turning point and the 2-day. Notable is the way that the RSI never really gets much lower than this for Bitcoin on the monthly here as well. So there's quite a few different factors, whether you're using Elliott wave analysis or whether you're just watching momentum factors. There's quite a few things here that make me think that we could see a bounce here soon from Bitcoin. It would be best if we did not see a new low set. I'm kind of curious if this is come to its 786. It's almost come to its 786. We would prefer to see a higher low solidify here, and this to become a failed breakdown, and then to see a V-shaped reversal out of it. And this type of pattern would actually be similar to our amazing Ethereum trade last year. A lot of you might remember that the big Ethereum trade last year was buying Ethereum once it reclaims this failed breakdown. Right? So these crypto coins love to do stuff like this. This failed breakdown ended up becoming one of the best buy the dip moments. And we were long ETHA and several other names. I think the other side of this wedge was something like that. Yep. So I'd be watching for something like this to occur. Crypto loves to do this and then do V-shaped recoveries out of it. There's a lot of manipulation that can occur here that's a little bit harder to pull off in the market for the big boys. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Bitcoin. It's because I have that thought on Bitcoin that I'm being a little bit more patient with some positions like Hood, by the way. And the other thing about Hood is like I still have good daily alignment, and I'm about to fire on the weekly, and I have this beautiful wedge. This beautiful wedge that's defended all these key levels. I'm still looking to see if we can get over 92 again. And that should give us a really good touch of 100 and kind of seek out these key levels up above to 110. And then there's been a lot of weakness on Microsoft that we should talk about as well here, which is pretty interesting because we have the weekly firing to the upside in tandem with the daily, but we've puked. We've just had this horrible puking out of Microsoft. I think the nuance is really this part of this run up was ahead of the giant AI conference going on right now, which has had some peripheral names in the AI space do well. So if we look at like a heat map, I'll do a refresh here just to make sure it's up to date. We could see like Cisco's making an amazing run. Now it's making an amazing run, but Dell and Microsoft, the names that ran up into this, are having sell-offs. Google, Palantir. Meanwhile, our producer manufacturing is making quite the bounce, but kind of broadly, tech is still in a healthy spot. And it doesn't seem like money is really going to safety. You know, it's not like health services and health technology and you know, safe value names are making a bounce back. There is some interesting moves from utilities and non-energy, but it still looks like the tech trade is still alive. Just some of these names that got these moves into this conference are having like a sell the news event. I still don't like how much this Microsoft move pulled back. I would have liked to have seen us have bounced off 450, and I actually looked for that attempt and took a small loss on that. But despite it not doing exactly what I wanted, you still have only just pulled back to your bullish EMA. So your 921 EMA cloud here still looks great. So it's still not bearish yet. The structure here, you know, breaking out over this bull flag and then playing it out and then kind of like back testing back to support. This structure is still very bullish. So, you know, we're still up 100% on some swings here. And so I'm definitely not in any sort of panic over this yet. You know, lose 430. We'll have a different conversation. You know, lose this huge area of resistance and don't have it turn into support. Just fall right through it. Okay, then we're having a very different conversation about what's going on in software, even though, you know, there's plenty of other strong names in software like now that had much more solid days. You know, it was a down day, but this is a lot stronger. You know, the way it defended this previous high here is beautiful. Be mindful Microsoft didn't have some sort of previous high like that to defend. NVIDIA having some weakness here too. After a pretty normal retracement, it still is just bringing it back to its bullish EMA. What's notable here is the daily is about to flip bearish, and the weekly already gave us our upside move quite a bit ago, and the 2-day also getting a pullback here, and the TTM RSI structure, notably at a very key moment where they want to try and get this to shove over the SMA, which could give us a double top formation, which will be a key deciding moment of, can we accelerate? Do we have buyers up there, or do we just have more sellers? I think the monthly in particular is interesting on NVIDIA here, because we don't like to see hitting new highs with no RSI confirmations. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that the AI story is done, especially as companies on the peripherals have done really well. And we even see in the conference today that like Marvel's playing a key role, and Data Cohort is playing a key role on manufacturing side. So, and these companies are doing absolutely amazing. You know, LRCX as well. But these are harder to play due to the fact that they're already up so much and structures are tough. LRCX is probably too extreme of an example because it's not even very liquid. But that's kind of what I'm seeing on the market. I'm seeing some pullbacks. I'm seeing some weakness. I'm seeing some tough moves. we are still catching some great moves. Oak will giving the breakout here. Looks really good into the close. The way we got that pop into the close to the high, I like to see that. You know, just overall getting the pop and holding it is a beautiful move. Did go ahead and take some SMR profits and now focused on Oklo, trying to catch the beginning of this move breaking out. Did get up to 50% on end phase as well. This is looking really good here. I went ahead and rolled as we came to the double top here, but I think we could easily accelerate through this level. Trying to get the daily chart here to pull up if TradingView will work with me here. There we go. Yeah, so we bought this one off the daily retracement. You know, similar to what we're seeing in Microsoft. Pull back to the daily EMA, your 921. This is the most bullish, by the way. Like, it has to break this blue wave to be technically bearish. Obviously, we're nowhere near that. And we're about to flip on the monthly, which means that, you know, me saying 141 as a target is actually not ridiculous at all, considering how the structure looks and the duration of this pullback. So yeah, there's still plenty to trade and be excited about. Oh, I did catch FCX scalp today as well on the all-time high breakout, and this will be kind of an interesting one to watch tomorrow. I didn't get very greedy after buying the bull flag here. Bull flag, get the pop, caught a solo extension. But to see that we actually just came to the EMA and got bought up again means that we probably want to have this on the radar tomorrow. I don't even know what the full story is, but I do know that being over a 2 RVOL and this level of bullish price action means basically highly likely that we have a continuation here and a much larger move on the bigger time frames. So I think that's about all I really wanted to cover, guys.